All right, welcome to Mix It live for today. I'm gonna try it, so bear with me if you can't follow along. Anyway, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this going right. I just got a new bass line, so we're gonna remix this so that you guys can see what's what. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a first run, listen through, just to see what we got. All right, here we go. Okay, here's what we got. So let's start with the drums, and we're gonna rebalance these against the new bass line. So actually, let's do this. Let's start at 0. Let's bring all these down. Yeah, looks like we got everything. Okay, let's start with the kick. Actually, let's give us a cycle region real quick. All right, here we go. And generally what I do is I start with the kick and then I actually work the bass at the same time. Okay, here we go. I think that's good for right now. Let's start doing the other drum tracks. Since I like my tracks kind of snare heavy, I like to work the snare in after I do the kick and the bass. Let's move in why there's this track called Slow Jam. And what this is the Apple drummer, which I really like when I set a groove. They just have a lot of good presets where you can just grab and go, and we can get into this later, but generally I like to set this, get a groove, and one of the cool things is you can create another instrument track, and in this case I'm using Moto Drum from IK Multimedia. And what I really love about this is that they have some wonderful sounds and drum sets. I really love this jazzy one. I also love this, I think, Black Oyster, which I think is supposed to be a Beatles type drum set with sounds. Anyways, so what you do is, just for the sake of this, you create your drummer region, set it up the way you want it, and then what you do is you drag it down and create an alias. So you hold down Option Shift, create an alias. Let's see. Try this again. So grab this. I'm going to delete this for here. Take these two, Option Shift, drag, and it's going to create an alias. I'm actually going to color this back. Anyways, so what it does is when you create the Apple drummer, it looks like audio, but technically it's MIDI when you drag it down. So for example, if I were just to shift drag this, it turns it into MIDI. But I don't want that because I want to be able to go back and adjust it. So I Option Shift drag it down, and now it's gonna map that Apple MIDI to this drum set. So let's solo this real quick and see what it sounds like. And what I really love about this Moto drum is that you can set up different settings. Like you got the room, you can set up basically like if you were an actual drummer, and so it has its own mixer. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't. It depends on how complicated this gets. But I usually set the room, maybe the play style, and then I customize this a little bit sometimes. So if you grab on this, but in this case I don't think I have any snare on this. Anyways, so and you can actually map that over here to a different. For example, if you drag it down and the MIDI map doesn't match correctly, you can change it right here. Anyways, but I love doing this because let's hear what it sounds like before. Let's go over here. See how dull that sound? I mean, I'm sure I could set it up, put some relay and compression on it and whatnot, but it's just too much work when I have this. Anyways, it just sounds so much better right out of the gate, barely doing anything. So let's listen to this drum again, the whole set. One of the other things I like to put on my drums, and it's called Relay by Isotope, and I use it with my Neutron 3. And one of the reasons why I like using this is because I can map this visually, and I can leave it like that, and then just mix the audio. Like this is basically gain staging inside Neutron. So what I'll do is I'll put this on a, for example, I'll put this on my perc. Let's go ahead and put this on my percussion. So I can change the width in the stereo field, but what I really like doing is just watching this here, setting this, kind of forgetting about it once I do it, and then just change the levels as I go, and then occasionally I'll go in and be like, okay, this needs to go more left, more right. So it kind of makes it sound like a real drum set. That's the way I use it. So for example, like this this snap, I have it set a little wider, kind of coming off the left. And then if I want to add more, do it here. And sometimes I actually just grab it down here while I'm in the middle of it. I just like, this is easier. And I think there's other people that use it across their entire song. Like you can apply a relay to any of this. I mean, if I were to go like this, but I like doing it in groups. So if I were to have another set, I would just do a new instance of Neutron. The only problem I have with that is, if you do that, Neutron 3 will see all of the tracks here. So I just use it for the drums. Anyways, let's move on. Let's bring my lead in, which is the guitar. Let's bring the keys. Alright, let's bring the vocal in, the vocal chop that we made. through the vocal. Starting to sound good. Of course, this is just the initial run through. All right, let's hear it again, all the way through. Explain this bass stuff. So I had a bass player do two different takes. And what I'm doing right now is, instead of creating a take folder, which is what I would do when I was if I'm recording it, I actually just dropped in the two separate bass lines on two channels. But what I am going to do is I'm going to create a sum bus, a summing stack, so I can get rid of all of these instances of plugins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these over to the sum bus like that, and I can just remove these. Actually, let's do this. So there we go. Now it's going to pass through the bus, so I only need 4 instances instead of 16 or whatever, or more than that actually. So here we go. Here's another thing I like to do is I also want to add groups, and I've already done this. So Shift G will pull up all of this. And since this guy's the opening bass, I want this to be a little lower. So here we go. Not sure why those were in stereo, but all fixed now. I think I heard a snap on this bass. Yep, bingo. that a fade? Cross fade here. Just like that. It's magic. Alright, let's loop it up and play it from the beginning. Yeah, I love how that fades out. Okay, so let's go back. Okay. So when I'm doing my mix downs, I generally keep, when I look at my master output, I like to do my average at -6 true peak. That's how I do it. You can do it however you need to. When I send it to my mastering engineer, I generally do it -6, and he never has a problem with it. In fact, he's always like, "Hey, man, this sounds great. Enough headroom." If I was mixing and mastering this myself, or mostly doing all of the work, I probably would do this a little differently. But since I'm sending to someone to master it, I just want to keep a standard of -6 true peak. And so this last pass through, I noticed that we're well above that. So the good news is, since I have all these bust out in groups, I just have to move the master bus and the group bus is down. So let's do that. I'm going to close these groups. Here we are, and let's do it. static, I think. I'm not sure where it's from. Yeah, I got it. This is one of my all-time favorite plugins. It's the Tape RC1 plug from Softtube, and it has made the world of difference as far as consistency on my songs. Now, I put it on my master bus because I want that tape emulation. I want it across all my songs. And I usually just set this and forget it. Every now and then I'll change the amount, or I'll change the amount of wobbly, the speed stability. But for the most part, I generally just, this is my setting. I leave it as it is. I love it. It gives me the color and the saturation that I'm looking for. It's so subtle. Anyways, so on my master, I have a few plugins. I have this transparent limiter. I have it set to transparent. It's not always transparent, but I have it set to basically clear. I put this at the top and followed by my tape saturation. This is my UAD console recall. Basically, it just controls the UAD arrow. Anyways. And then I have my Clarity M stereo. It's a desktop loudness meter. It sits off to the left. You can't see it. Anyways, I love this thing because I can look at true peak and correlation and the bounce all on my desktop, so I don't have to have a bunch of plugins doing that. And then I have a excuse me, I have a tape master for when I want to hear the song as if it was mastered. I just run it through a different presets just to get an idea. I'm not stuck on it because my mastering guy has his own presets. But anyways, so let's do this and get it down to -6. coming in at -6.7 right now, so we're at -5.8. So just a little tweaks here and there, get it down. Now, mind you, you don't have to do it this way. I could leave it at -5.8 and send it to the mastering guy and we're fine. But I'm a little OCD about this. Still averaging -5.8, which is good. I think I could even leave it there. It's also a good way of monitoring if you have something in a song that just kind of jumps out. And if you pay attention to that, you can actually go back and adjust appropriately. I think somewhere around here, it went from 5.8 to 5. So I'm gonna have to adjust something so that it's not like right there. Something came in and moved the needle. I think it's right here where the guitar and everything hits at the same time. It might even be this bass. Yep. right around 6-1. Good, still doing running 6-1. Yeah, that's good. I got a good 5.961 average on True Peak. I forgot to mention one of the other things that I have on this mix bus is my audio movers plugin, which I share with my client. In fact, this particular song is actually I'm co-writing it with a guy who lives in Nigeria. So he's the bass player, and he thought we should do some songs together. So I agreed. Anyways, this is where I would stream. I would log in, and then I would copy the stream link. I can set this quality to look, PCM 32-bit wave, which is great if you were in the next room, but he's in a different continent, so I have to usually set it a little lower so that he can hear it on his phone. But anyways, I copy the stream, and then I send it to him, and then he can listen to it in real time. I don't have it turned on right now because I don't know how it's going to affect recording and streaming latency. And I used to use this plugin for headphone monitoring, but not anymore. This is the most I've worn headphones in years. I can't deal with things on my ears, so, but I'll let it slide this time because I don't have it. I'm not listening for music. I'm just listening to hear myself talk. Anyways, so I think that's a good place for this right now. There's a lot of stuff that I've done to these song parts already that we'll get into later, or I get into when we start adjusting different parts. But I really like where it's at right now. This is so much. Once I learned how to do some buses, it changed my Logic experience to another level. I was able to maximize plugins, keep things grouped. I'm a big Photoshop person, so like I have groups and smart objects, and kind of applying that to this as far as groups. It's a little different, but the logic is there for me. The logic is there. Anyways, so yeah, I'm really good where this is at, and I will leave it there for right now. I'm going to bounce it and then upload it to SoundCloud and see what we got. And put it on repeat for a while. And while this is bouncing, so don't try to give yourself some space when you're doing this. Like, bounce it, listen to it for a while, and then don't listen to anything else for a while, so that you can get fresh ears on this. We're working on like